We are back. Time for the Politics Fix with Michele Bernard, president of Independent Women's Voice and an MSNBC political analyst, and the Rolling Stones' Matt Taibbi, whose latest story, The Truth About the Bailout, is in the current issue of that fabulous magazine, The Rolling Stone. Well, I can't resist this when I heard about this. Here's U.S. Congresswoman Michele Bachman, another Michele, back in October on Hardball, and this week on Sean Hannity's radio show. Here she is sort of continuing in this vein, very fearful vein. She believes she's surrounded by dangerous people in Washington.
I wish the American media would take a great look at the views of the people in Congress and find out, are they pro-America or anti-America? I think people would love to see an expose like that.
We are headed down the lane of economic Marxism as more quickly, Sean, than anyone could have possibly imagined. It's difficult for us to even keep up with it day to day. Right now, I'm a member of Congress, and I believe that my job here is to be a foreign correspondent reporting from enemy lines.
A foreign correspondent behind enemy lines. That's how she sees herself, Matt Taibbi. This person representing, I guess, an interesting district out in Minnesota with an interesting concern, which is fear of the enemy that surrounds us.
Sorry, what?
Did you miss all that, Matt? Dare I repeat it?
No, if you could just repeat the question, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
What do you make of Michele Bachman's concern that she's surrounded by the enemy, that in fact she believes again that there ought to be an investigation of the people who serve with us for their anti-American views, to the point that she feels like a Mata Hari? She feels like a foreign correspondent amidst an enemy camp.
It's funny, this morning outside of Penn Station, I saw a guy huffing glue out of a paper bag, and he was making more sense than Michele Bachman was making. I mean, I can't believe you need to pass a written test to drive a car in this country, but I bet this woman can't even write our name in the ground with a stick. I mean, it's just it's unbelievable to me that this person is in the Congress.
You've now set up Michele Bernard to look reasonable here. Go ahead. What do you make of it? She also said that she's introducing legislation. It's in a press release yesterday actually. She's going to introduce legislation, I think she already has, to make sure that nobody tries to replace the dollar in America, that we're going to stick to our currency, because she heard somewhere out there, this is like Rosanna Dana, up on Saturday Night Live years ago. She's heard that there might be a different standard of currency out in the world. There's a basis for reserve currency in the world, like sterling, the dollar, the euro, something else. And in hearing that conversation, she's become concerned that somebody's going to come sweeping into our local candy stores and our supermarkets and replace all the dollars with some strange-looking new currency. She's got this in her head.
Yeah,
she's outlawing that.
She seems to have been completely confused by China's request on monetary policy and what the reserve dollar was going to be, what the basis of the reserve would be. I don't know where she's going with this. I don't understand where the confusion has come in, but there's a lot of confusion. She's introduced a resolution to make sure that we always use the U.S. dollar in this country, even though President Obama, Ben Bernanke, and Secretary Geithner have all said that they are opposed to having a one-world currency.
Well, not only that, but there was never, Matt, any discussion of changing American currency or giving it up the way British people gave up, the French gave up their franc for the euro. Nobody ever talked about giving up the dollar. We love our dollars. We love our currency. But she wants to pass a law in Congress to get it signed by the president, who she sees as a tyrant, by the way. I don't know why she thinks he'll ever sign this, to protect our currency. Last thought on Michele Bachman.
We got to get you straight with the Michelle.
This is a busy Michele. We'll be right back. I think your thoughts have been completed already. We'll be right back to talk about this big war we're fighting in Afghanistan. This is serious business. The president made a dramatic statement today. It concerns me because it sounds so much like, in his new commitment to more troops, what he calls advisors, trainers, going into Afghanistan, it looks like a long-term commitment. It sounds a lot like Vietnam. I know he inherited this, but he's putting a lot of chips on the table here. What do you make of it, Matt?
I'm not really clear where we're going to get the money to fight these wars when we've just spent about $10 trillion in loans and guarantees in the last 8 months alone, just bailing out the economy. I think it's a very strange time for them to be making this kind of decision.
Michele Bernard.
Well, I think he's going to get a lot of trouble from people on the left. You know, you're seeing articles already coming out on The Nation. Mr. President, please don't do this. People are scared that Afghanistan is going to become Barack Obama's war. But, you know, during the primary season, he was open, he was honest, he was upfront about it. He took the national conversation on a pivot from Iraq to Afghanistan. It should be no surprise to anyone who voted for him that he was going to do this. He made it very clear from day one on the campaign trail, and it might be part of the reason why some people who care about military affairs elected him.
Well, the dangerous thing, and maybe it's unavoidable, maybe we have a Hobbesian choice here, Matt, but when you see Charlie Wilson's War, that great movie about our aid to the Afghan Mujahideen against the Soviets there, you have a situation where you help the side you're on, then you end up being on the other side, the occupiers. But more dangerously, it seems like if you don't keep funding these people, giving them money, supporting their local economic development, eventually you leave and they turn against you. Do we have to stay there in perpetuity? That's my question.
Well, I mean, if you read a book like The Great Game, the history of Afghanistan is pretty consistent. Every time a foreign power goes in there to quote-unquote restore order, they end up leaving in some kind of bloody disaster, you know, and I think we're either going to have to stay there forever and keep doling out money, or we're going to have to leave and create a problem. And I think it's probably easier just to cut our losses and get out as quickly as possible.
Let me challenge you on that. If we cut our losses and split, the president said today the Taliban comes back and brings with it Al-Qaeda, and we've got an enemy camp facing us again like we had 7 or 8 years ago. What do you do? I mean,
and he also said it's creating problems not only in Afghanistan but in Pakistan. He's got to get Osama bin Laden.
Michele Bernard, thank you. Matt Taibbi, thank you both.